Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a kind of chit chat woman to woman type of video. Haven't done one in a little while and it's a topic that I really did want to address because I had a little bit of a meltdown on Instagram a couple of, was it last week, maybe the week before, and I wanted to address what we were talking about on Instagram, which was about weight and scales and that kind of thing. And I basically had a meltdown because I decided to buy a pair of scales just to kind of motivate myself. And the reason that I haven't had scales for a very long time is because I get very obsessive about scales. I can't leave them alone. I'm constantly getting on them and checking, and I ended up having like a really kind of obsessive negative kind of relationship with them. So I decided to just not have them in the house, which then has resulted in me not being able to check. And obviously you do go buy your clothes, and I realised that my clothes don't fit me and I realised that I'm fat, but I think sometimes in clothes it's kind of easier to hide it somehow, whereas with scales it's kind of glaringly obviously there, which was something that I was kind of not doing because I didn't have any scales. But so I bought the scales, and the number that was on those scales was the most terrifying number that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. It was genuinely horrendous. I'm not going to say what it is for two reasons. Number one, I'm really embarrassed and I don't want to tell you. Number two is that whenever you mention anything weight related, people get really funny and then they compare and it becomes a whole thing, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad or anything like that. So I'm not going to say it, but let me tell you that it was shocking. It was like horrendous. And what made it worse was that in my head I didn't think I was that big. Do you know what I mean? Like I realised that I was overweight, and I realised that I put weight on, and I realised that I was big, but in my head I wasn't that big, and it was just so shocking. And I cried all evening. I couldn't even kind of like, nothing was consoling me. I just felt so sort of disgusting and so angry that I'd let myself get to that point that I just couldn't even get my head around it. And then it made me realise like that I had to lose so much weight to be at a place where I was happy again, that scared me. And I was just really afraid and ashamed and embarrassed and felt disgusting, which isn't a nice feeling. You know, none of us want to feel that, do we? So what I have been doing since then is I've gone back on the shake diet and everything, and I have lost over half a stone in the last couple of weeks, which has been really great and really motivating, and I have been using the scales for that. But it's made me kind of realise that if you're somebody that has got a really big problem with your weight, which I have, and who has kind of struggled with their weight their whole entire, I'm not even going to say adult life, because it's not even adult life, it's when I was even like pre-teen really. I'm sat on the bed and it like, you'd think it was comfier than it is. It's actually not. This isn't our bed, it's like the bed in the spare room, and it's not our mattress. It's like it was already here when we moved here. That was the only bit of furniture there was, and it's like a really spongy mattress. It's not comfy. Poor guest have to sleep in this bed. But yeah, so I've struggled with it for such a long time that it's become such a hot, sensitive issue for me that I struggle to talk about it with people in my day-to-day life, because hardly anybody understands. And I've got one friend that kind of gets it, and then obviously online I can talk about it freely and people get it a lot more, but in real life nobody really gets it. Nobody in my family gets it. Like, you know, they're all naturally really skinny and don't really have to work at it, or like people like my mum who just like, you know, love healthy eating and have that type of really athletic body. And what's really difficult as well is when you kind of, nutrition, diet, all of that kind of thing is something that's so open to interpretation, and that people feel so strongly about telling you what you're doing wrong, what you should be doing, what's right, what's this, what's that, that like it's like everybody's an expert on diets. Even people who aren't particularly knowledgeable about very much seem to be experts on diet, and oh, you shouldn't do that, you should just, you know, just eat a little bit of what you fancy, and you're like, oh thanks, didn't think of that. But it's something that you have to kind of address and think about constantly if you are somebody whose natural body inclination is to just like hold on to fat and to gain weight. It sucks. It properly sucks. And if you're anything like me, like I understand so much how that feels, because unless I'm so on it with everything that I eat and like really watch my calorie intake and I'm just so good, I gain weight like that. No, I don't have a thyroid problem. People always ask that. I've had it checked. Believe me, it would be a nice solution. Well, it wouldn't be a solution, but you know, a reason. I don't. That's what my metabolism's like. I think I've inherited it from my dad's side, which is great because it is just the bane of my whole entire existence. But at the same time, you want to get to a place where you kind of feel a little bit happier, but it's such a catch-22 because it is very difficult to get to that point when you feel not so great, and then you can kind of comfort eat and then all these different things. And I'm not going to sit here and bore you with like reasons why I've ended up like gaining so much weight of things that have been going on, because it's not very interesting for anybody, and it's just, you know, it just sounds like you're making up excuses and nobody wants to hear that. But somebody did point out to me actually the other day that, you know, we have had so many big life changes and stressful stuff go on within the last kind of 3-4 years that I've still got a little bit of a cough from when I had a cold like a month ago that just refuses to leave. That we've been dealing with that, and then, you know, me kind of taking care of myself has been along the wayside, and it is taking care of myself, but at the same time it's being able to, I want to be able to get to a place where I can not obsess. But I know that for me to not obsess is I have to kind of relinquish control, which then causes weight gain. So it's such a double-edged sword. I'm going to do a whole video where I talk about kind of emotional eating and that kind of thing and coping mechanisms, because I've been reading up a lot about that recently and kind of trying to figure that out. So I'm definitely going to do that soon for you. But basically, you know, scales keep me in check, but scales also make me very miserable, and I attach so much value to them. And somebody actually messaged me the other day when I was having my meltdown, and you'll know who you are if you're watching this, the lovely viewer of mine on Instagram. I'm not going to say her name. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I did, but in case she doesn't, I won't. But she messaged me and she said, I always think about you that you put so much of your value on your weight, when I don't even think about that. I like how you love beauty and that you're passionate about things, and that you're a bookworm and you're kind and you're intelligent and you take time to reply whenever people ask you a question, and all these really lovely things. And she said, like, you know, your weight is the least interesting thing about you, it's just a byproduct. And I wholeheartedly like believe that it should be the least interesting thing about any of us. What we have to offer is the interesting thing. But at the same time, I do very much want to kind of be at a place where I feel good with my body, where I don't feel like I look pudgy and fat and everything, and I don't have to, like, you know, buy bigger sizes of things. And I want to be able to, like, you know, just pop on a pair of jeans that are a size 10 or a size 12 even. I'll be happy with a size 12 and just like feel good. But then saying that, when I was a size 10 or 12, I still was messed up, wasn't I? Because in here. But scales are just something that have such a negative connotation for me from both ends of the spectrum, that I thought it was really interesting. And loads of you messaged me on Instagram. Like, I literally had, like, I couldn't even reply to all of them. There were that many, and I really was trying, and it was going on for like 3 or 4 days. And I really appreciated that. But I thought that we could chat sort of in this video as well about, you know, what scales mean to you, because these are my favourite type of videos to make, because I get so much engagement and you guys kind of inspire me so much to try and challenge how I think about things, that these are the videos that I'm kind of the most proud of doing. And I'm actually reading that book at the moment, the Just Eat It or whatever it's called. Very interesting. And also, what else did I want to tell you? I've been listening to her podcast as well. I can't remember what the author's name is. I'll try and link it down below. But hers, and that's really intriguing too. But yeah, I did have a little meltdown over it the other day because the number was so terrifying, and it was just like, how did I not see it? Because I just wore baggy jumpers and leggings, is what it is. So what I've been actually doing the last few days, right, which sounds really like counterproductive, but it is making myself wear things that aren't just a baggy jean and jumper, just to kind of A, have a little bit more shape, but B, part of me is like hoping that'll inspire me. So like today, for example, I'm wearing this dress from New Look, and I mean, it is quite a flattering dress. You can't really see there. It's like a little skater dress, and I have got tights on with it. But you can kind of, you know, like you can see, can't you, that chunk. I didn't mean that chunk like tits, but yeah, that too. Which, you know, when I lose weight, they won't hardly be there anymore because I don't have very big boobs. These are just fat boobs. But I'm trying to acknowledge when I have these really, really negative conversations with myself. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, I went to my mum's, and my two younger sisters are like very, very naturally skinny. So they're like a size 6. And then my other sister was never a size 6. She was more like a size, sort of like size 8 to 10 maybe. But we've all got such completely different body types, like totally different frames from each other. It's actually hilarious. But so she's lost a lot of weight recently, not through dieting, just through like a health issue, but she's a size 6 now as well. And so they were all talking about that, and I was on the shake diet, but they were all saying to me, just have a little piece of, there was some lasagna, and they were like, just have a little piece of lasagna, like, you know, just have some. And I went to get some, and I cut the piece out. There was a small piece. I cut the piece out, I put it on the plate, and then I swear to God, it was like that. There was this little voice in the back of my head saying to me, you gross cow, do not eat that. You eat that, the chance of you being a size 6, never gonna happen. You're never gonna be a size 6, even if you starve yourself for eternity. So you're gonna have to suffer to not even look as good, but still. And do you know what I did? Scraped it off the plate, I put it back, I put the plate in the sink, I washed the plate, and I didn't have any because of that moment. Now, that in itself is not this, you know, atrocity, because I didn't need to have it. Like, I was doing the shakes and I was fine, and I didn't need to have it. But it was that horrible negative voice that was so mean and so negative and so unkind that it startled me almost. How I'm making it sound like I'm insane, like I have like voices in my head, but I don't. It's, you know, it's your inner monologue, isn't it? So since then I've been very much trying to not have that kind of monologue with myself. But you guys know, you've been here for a long time, I am messed up when it comes to food and body image. I'm messed up, but I'm working on it, and we're working on it together. And I want to thank you for all the messages you sent me, because they were really, really sweet. So yeah, I love you lots, and any requests for more videos like this, please don't hesitate to ask. Won't be doing more eat in a day videos at the moment because I'm doing the shake, so that's not very interesting, but as soon as I am doing that, we'll do those again because I know you guys love them. And yeah, I'll see you all soon.